Hey there. This is Real Talk episode number 5. I'm going to keep putting out content. Y'all keep liking and subscribing. I think we're somewhere around 72 subscribers now. So I'm just going to keep pushing forward and adding more content. Um, but give me feedback on the videos, right? So I know if I'm doing something right or something wrong. I know that last video, the editing was a little weird. So I'm going to try and clean that up with this one. And I'm working with some of my close people to kind of get a better kind of screensaver and to kind of learn to edit things a little bit better. You notice in the last video we had an intro, so we had intro music. So thanks to my man C Merrick for getting me that done. And we're gonna keep moving with it. Okay. So today's real talk. I wanted to talk about mental health. Right, that's a scary subject, right? And I'm not gonna be all over the place, but I'm gonna talk about mental health from my perspective. So this is going to be a conversation about mental health from the perspective of a Gen X Black American male, and what I've discovered, right? And I don't want to just limit it to Gen X. I think the people who are going to most understand what I'm talking about here are going to be people who are like in the 30 to 50-year-old range, maybe slightly older, slightly younger. But I think that's the window that we're talking about, right? So number one, my generation was taught that our feelings don't matter, right? We were told things like stay out of grown folks' conversations. We weren't allowed to have agency in our own lives, right? If your parents cooked something that you didn't like to eat, you had one or two choices. Well, maybe one or three. Eat it, choice number one. Choice number two was starve, go hungry. And choice number three was probably sit at the table with it getting cold in front of you until it broke your spirit and you ate it. Those are kind of the choices you had. To this day, I will not eat liver. And anybody who knows me will tell you I will not eat lima beans for the exact same reason. Because I was told to sit there and eat it, or sit there until I ate it. I don't do powdered milk for the same reason. I just won't do it. Right. So we were taught that our feelings didn't matter and that our job was to just, our life was about just go and get it done. Right. We developed this attitude. If you're a man in that kind of window, right, that 30 to 50 range, or if you're a woman who's married to or dating or involved in a relationship with a man in that range, or anyone, right, anyone involved with a man in that range, right, you're gonna find that that's how we take on life, right? We shut up and we eat the fucking liver or we eat the lima beans just so we can survive. Number two, and I need you guys to listen to this one and not just like jump off into a tangent, right? Because this is probably going to trigger some people. I figured that out once by a post on Facebook. In my generation, ADD did not exist, right? No one was diagnosed with having attention deficit disorder. You know what they call those kids when I was growing up? They called them hyper. I can remember fondly back to being in kindergarten, and we had a kid who probably suffered from this, and he would have these fits and would literally bang his head against the floor. And the way that they treated it was just ignore him, let him bang his head until he gets tired. Right? I mean, the floor was carpeted, right? So I guess they figured he wasn't going to do permanent damage, but they just ignored it. And I think back on that now as an adult, and I go, this kid was suffering through something. He was going through something, and rather than listen to him or pay attention or try and figure it out, we just ignored it. So in essence, we taught that child your feelings don't matter. Again, back to number one, right? What you're going through doesn't matter. Maybe that's kind of the theme of this whole talk, right? Ladies, men, whoever you are, if you're dating or involved in a relationship with a man in this age group, here's a warning shot for you. Very important warning shot. Since we were always taught that our feelings don't matter, we're not going to discuss them. But if we ever decide to, and this is where you need to pay attention, if a man in that generation tells you, "Hey, I feel a certain way about this," or "I'm concerned about this," and you discount his feelings, he will never tell you how he feels again. You get one shot at this. You get one shot at asking your man how he feels about something, and him being honest with you. And if you discount his feelings, you say, "Oh, that's not how you feel," or "That's wrong," or this or that. He's never going to tell you again. Here's an industry secret. Industry secret, right? Ladies, you need to understand this. I want you to know this. 90% of the time, when you ask your man, what is he thinking? And he says, nothing, we are thinking something. We're working through whatever emotional thing we have or thoughts that we have on our own because we know we can't talk to you because the one time we tried to tell you how we felt about something, you discounted our feelings. So we're just never going to have conversations like that again. We're never going to bring it up again, right? And if you make any sort of reference or imply that we're weak because we have feelings, we're not going to talk about it. Here's something I want anyone who's in a relationship with a male of a certain age, the 30 to 50 group, um, black or white, this one doesn't really matter. Have you ever had a situation where your guy completely overreacted to something small, like something damn near insignificant, right? The reason why he overreacted to something small and insignificant is because all of the other emotions he's feeling or he's felt for weeks or months or years, we put that shit inside and we push it down. We push it down, right? And we swallow it and we live with it. And there may be something really small and minuscule and it causes us to overreact, right? I can tell you one of the things that used to cause me to overreact all the time was my kids shifting the ice maker from cubed to crushed. And I would have these reactions and really be upset about it. And everybody's looking at me like, why are you overreacting? I was even told I was being moody. It wasn't about the ice cubes. It was about all the other shit that I was burying inside. And finally it popped the top, the relief valve went off, right? And it went off on ice cubes versus crushed ice. That's the world in which your man is operating in. Until I was about maybe, Jesus, 43, 44 years old. So this has only been a couple years. And I started to try and examine my own mental health. I realized that I don't understand emotions. Sounds weird. I don't understand emotions. I really understood two emotions, and it's not really understanding two emotions. I understood angry, right? I understood rage, um, and I thought I understood happiness, right? But it wasn't like I understood happiness for real. I just basically assumed if I'm not mad about something, I must be happy. So it's black and white. It's one or the other. Either I'm mad about it or I'm happy about it. Now that I know that anger is not an emotion, it's a reaction to an emotion. I realized that what I was doing was any other emotion I felt, I was defaulting it to be anger, right? I'm afraid of something rather than recognize I'm afraid of something and process through that and get over my fear. I default to anger, right? And if you know me, I'm one of those people is like I'm not the guy that you can like hide in the closet and jump out with. Because if you do, I'm gonna hit you, right? My fear will instantly transform itself into aggression and I'm going to attack. Right? Self-doubt. Self-doubt is another one of those things, right? We oftentimes doubt ourselves. And so what do? We default to anger. Confusion, default to anger, right? If I could understand what other emotions were, if I could understand that I'm worried about my ability to do this thing, right? Then I could look at that realistically and go, how do I, reduce my level of worry or my level of anxiety? And I could put measures in place to get rid of that emotion. But as a man in this generational group, I was never taught that. I was never even taught to recognize the emotion, right? So I'm going to do one of two things: aggressively try to push through it, regardless of how much it hurts, or I'm going to shut down and not deal with it. So when you have these situations where your significant other either gets hyper aggressive, right, or he ignores it and doesn't talk about it, it's because we don't really know how to process our emotions and our feelings, and we're going to default to one of two things, and it's embarrassing, right? I love my wife, right, and my wife is very she's a very giving person, right, and she really tries to make a big deal out of my birthday, right? And do these really nice things for my birthday. But I never really had birthday parties growing up. It was never a big, thing for me to have, to do anything for my birthday. So my wife makes a big deal about it because it's a big deal to her. Birthdays are a big deal to her. Um, but I don't know how to respond in a way when she does things for me that lets her know that I appreciate it because I don't know how to show that emotion. I don't know how to show joy and it feel legitimate. I mean, I can smile, I can say thank you and all those things, but it doesn't feel authentic because I don't know how to authentically express those emotions. Again, men of a certain age. I'm getting ready to retire here shortly, and because I'm getting more in tune with I guess my own emotional intelligence, I guess that's the phrase I would use. I know that I'm afraid and I'm worried. Right? I'm going into the unknown. But the unique thing about it now is I know what I'm afraid of and I know what I'm worried about, so I can take steps to reduce those fears. Whereas 10 years ago, I would just be really angry and really aggressive at everything that was about to happen, or I would be completely detached and removed from it. And so discussing all those things is kind of a pre setup because, of course, I'm going to talk about um, some stuff that's in the media. Uh, Two people that I want to kind of discuss is Will Smith and Kanye West. And before you get into your feelings about it, we're not talking about anything they've done in particular. It's just what I've learned to observe from them as I watched them, in a public profile. So in both cases, I think here, let's start with Kanye, right? Kanye is a multi Grammy winning, platinum selling artist worth billions of dollars, very successful man, right? And he was married to Kim Kardashian. and their marriage goes bad, and now all of a sudden she's dating Pete Davidson and all this other stuff that's going on. One, I think Kanye lost the person in his life that would tell him, "Hey, don't do that dumb shit." We all have to have that one person in life that says, "Hey, don't do that dumb shit." For me, it's my wife. For Kanye, I think it was his mother. You know, the person that tells you you shouldn't behave that way or you shouldn't be so irrational, right? And losing that combined with what I recognize from the outside looking in with Kanye, and we're going to talk about this because Will Smith is having the same thing, is outside of his front door, he is Kanye West, this world renowned artist, very well respected, has a lot of power and agency. Inside of his home, he has no agency. He's nobody when he comes in the door, right? There's no respect for him in that house, right? So he's dealing with those two things along with other, you know, mental health disorders because he clearly suffers from manic depression, right? Which sometimes it is what it is, right? You can see the energy, the high levels of energy that he has, and then you see the sudden he's disconnected, and he's not doing media, right? So that's kind of what goes along with that. But just because he's on a manic high and he's saying all these things, rapidly or randomly, he's not saying unintelligent things, right? He hasn't become a dumbass just because he's struggling with getting his words out and saying things in a way that people understand, right? So let's not discount everything he says, right? Some things he's going to be out there, right? But if you really honestly sit down and listen objectively to a lot of the interviews he does, right, from start to finish, and not just the clickbait clips that are designed to get you angry and frustrated about it. You sit down and listen to him, you go, wow, he does make some good points. And I'm not talking about all the anti-Semitic stuff. I'm just talking about financial things and music industry things, and he talks about a charter school and how we should teach more trades in school because that's where we're going, and not wasting our time teaching our children about things that they're never going to use in life again. I mean, it's very, very, very in depth, right? So sit down and just look up some of his YouTube interviews and actually listen to the entire conversation. I think you'll be surprised. Now, you may struggle with it at times, right? Because, when manics are in a manic high, they kind of talk really fast and they kind of jump from subject to subject really quickly. But I mean, it's YouTube. You can pause or rewind. Uh, but really take a listen and look past what the media or what everyone else had to say about him and like honestly listen to him. But to just know someone who suffers these emotional highs and emotional lows, it's going to be dangerous for them to be in a relationship in which they have no agency because people like that will multiply their feelings based on where they are in the high or the low, right? If they're in the high and they love you, they super love you, right? If they're in the low and you hurt their feelings, uh, in their mind, you hate them, you don't want to be there, you don't want to be with them, right? So unless you recognize that when you're with someone who kind of operates in that space, um, you're going to destroy him. And I think that's what happened. He got destroyed by people who couldn't recognize what he needed and when he needed it. Now, Will Smith is 10 times more successful than Kanye West, right? Will Smith is one of the highest paid actors in Hollywood. Let me say that again, one of the highest paid actors, right? Years ago, you used to say the highest paid black actors. No, he's one of the highest paid actors in Hollywood, right? Hit after hit after hit movie, right? Literally at the pinnacle of his craft, at the very top. And his wife cheated on him with his son's friend. He has no agency in his own home. I mean, this is Will Smith, right? At his level, There's literally millions of women who would sleep with him and become his wife and do anything he asked for. And he's married to a woman who sleeps with his son's friend. And if you've ever watched her show, I think one of the most painful things is when she talks about Tupac, right? And it's painful only in that she talks about how much she loves and misses him. And for Will, you're competing against a ghost. You're never going to win. You're competing against a ghost. You're never going to measure up. So imagine having all of this success in one place. People literally do everything you say. They try and predict what you want done, and they do it. And then you come home and you have zero agency. Your feelings don't matter. Your ideas don't matter. Your opinions don't matter. So when you see these visceral reactions, right? Again, visceral reactions, we talked about it, right? I'm going to do one of two things. I'm probably going to overly aggressively respond to something, right? Or I'm going to do nothing about it. And as a man, if you disrespect my wife in front of me, I have no choice but to respond with aggression. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Just wanted to drop a little food for thought. Again, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on them notifications so you know when I'm dropping more real talks. And as always, those closest to me, those who know me on a personal level, keep sending me the feedback so I can make things better. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate all the love I've gotten so far. I appreciate you guys sharing my content on Facebook. I'm really happy about that, and just gonna keep doing it. And as always, I'm gonna sign out. I sign out on every real talk. I'm just saying, fuck talking about. I'll let you boy.